Who are the top 5 edge rushing prospects that the New York Jets should be targeting in next month's NFL draft? Who are their pro comparisons? And how would they fit into a Robert Saleh led defense? Let's get it going. Starting honorable mention, that's David Agba, edge from Michigan. We all saw the clip, that devastating Achilles injury he had at the combine, and the apathetic response from the training staff was a really sad sight to see. Agba is 6'5", 250 pounds, has really good speed and length at the position. He does lack the power that you'd like to see from a defensive end in a 4-3 base and could stand to add more mass to his frame. The pro comp for me is Leonard Floyd, who, just like Agba, is a long, athletic edge rusher whose production spiked when he was paired with another elite edge rusher in Von Miller. That's what David Agba had last year at Michigan. He was a counterpart to Aiden Hutchinson. I think Agba would need that at the next level. I don't think he's the type of player who is going to be the focal point of the offensive game plan in terms of chipping him and double teaming him and still going to produce double-digit sacks. I don't think he's that caliber of talent. However, if you pair him with another dynamic edge rusher, he can be a really productive, get you 8 to 10 sacks using that speed and athleticism, and probably will struggle a little bit against the run at the next level. The Achilles tear probably pushes him maybe out of the first round, but could be a pick at 35 or 38 for the Jets if they decide for some reason not to take an edge with one of their first round picks. Number 5, that is Travon Walker, edge from Georgia. 6'5", 270, and a 4.5 40-yard dash. This dude lit up the combine. We're talking Myles Garrett, Julius Peppers, freak show level numbers. However, the production leaves a lot to be desired. He only had 9.5 sacks in his entire college career. There's a lot of other guys on this list, including Agba, who we just mentioned, who eclipsed that sack total just in their one season alone last year. So he's a good football player. I'm not trying to say he's just a combine warrior. He's a good football player. He plays strong. He's got long arms. He's going to bat down some balls, definitely be strong enough to set the edge. But production matters here. Production translates to the next level. So if the Jets want to trade back from 10 to like the teens or to 20, that could be a good pick. But if you're going to be a top 10 selection, I need to see more production at the college level. The pro comp for me is Jadeveon Clowney, who had similar measurables at the combine and is a dynamic player, a good player, but inconsistent production. Jadeveon Clowney had like a 2-sack season and a 10-sack season, and I think that's the kind of player Travon Walker will be. Definitely an option for the Jets, I think, if they trade down from the number 10 overall pick. Number 4 is George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue. 6'4", 275, and a really, really powerful athlete. Doesn't have the nasty bend as some of the other more athletic pass rushers in this class. And he's kind of a one-trick pony, and that trick is, I'm grown, you are not. I'm going to bull rush you into the quarterback's lap. So there's some concerns. Will that translate to the next level? Obviously, the offensive tackles in the NFL are going to be much stronger than they were in college. But he's still a pretty good athlete for that size. The pro comp to me is Emmanuel Agba of the Miami Dolphins, a guy who's going to score better analytically than he will with just raw counting stats in terms of sacks. I think he's going to be good against the run. He's going to bat down some balls. He has a high football IQ and give you a lot of pressures and probably 7 to 9 sacks per season. And just like Travon Walker, I think could be an option for the Jets if they trade down from the number 10 overall pick. As we move into the top 3, I think all 3 of these players would be worthy of a top 10 selection. So here are the guys who are in play for the Jets at 10 or maybe even at 4, depending on how much Joe Douglas loves them. Number 3, that is Jermaine Johnson, edge from Florida State, 6'5", 262. He had 12 sacks last season, 18.5 sacks in his career. He's a good athlete. There's been some questions about his bend. Just go watch him. He's super smooth. He reminds me of Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Going to be a borderline Pro Bowler and post multiple double-digit sacks in his career. Definitely in play at 10 and would give the Jets 2 bookend edge rushers with him and Carl Lawson. 262. He's big enough to play defensive end. I think that would be a really good selection if he's available for the Jets at 10. Number 2, Someone the Jets probably won't be able to select, but you never know. They are picking fourth, and that would be Aiden Hutchinson, edge from Michigan, 6'6", 265. Really productive season last year, 14 sacks. However, the previous 3 seasons, he only had 4.5 sacks combined. So he really hit his stride last year. He's a complete football player. He's George Karlaftis, but a better athlete. Big enough to set the edge, long enough to affect the passing game. And I think he's going to be a guy who can get you 8 to 10 sacks per year. And the pro comp is Matthew Judon. Remember, there's no Nick Bosa or Myles Garrett in this class. And a player who can get you 8 to 10 sacks a year, bat down some balls, and be good against the run, there's not that many of those guys in the NFL. Those guys that's worthy of a top 10 pick. Aiden Hutchinson is number 2. And number 1 for me has become kind of a polarizing draft prospect. That is Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge from Oregon, 6'3", 255 pounds, 19 sacks in his 3 years at Oregon. And he is definitely the most explosive athlete in this class. The pro comp for me is Robert Quinn. I don't think he's a guy you can pencil in for 12, 15 sacks every season. There isn't a prospect like that in this draft class. So I think you might see some inconsistency, like a 7-sack season and then a big 15-sack season like Robert Quinn has had. But definitely would be the most talented edge rusher the New York Jets have had in nearly 20 years since they had John Abraham. And pair him with Carl Lawson. You have Carl Lawson, who's more of a power edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeaux uses his athleticism, and I think it would give the Jets a really dynamic duo rushing the quarterback and could be in play for the New York Jets with a number 4 overall pick. Those are my top 5 edge rushers, plus a bonus one that the New York Jets should be targeting in next year's NFL draft. If you want to take a peek at my wide receiver rankings, you can click that below. Subscribe if you love what I'm doing. But either way, let's go Jets.